Okay, so this week's course is called Monarch Dunes Golf Club, and that is a wonderful course out in Santa Maria, near Santa Maria, California. It's just northwest of Santa Maria, on or just off Route 1 as it runs along the coast, northwest of Santa Maria. You pass through Guadalupe, and before you get to Bromala, you take a right off there, and it is between Black Lake Golf Course and Rancho, I believe it's Rancho Maria, which is way down, yeah, Rancho Maria, which is well down Route 1, maybe about 10 miles. It's about a 25-minute drive north up Route 1 from Rancho Maria. Now, so there's three courses there, and I passed by Rancho Maria on the way up to Monarch Dunes, and the reason I passed by Rancho Maria, despite the fact that it was all of 1:30 at the time I got there, was that it just looked like a fairly straightforward flat course that ran up the side of a gently sloping hill. You know, the kind of moderate foothills that are very common here on the west coast of California near Santa Barbara. And it was full of guys out there in bright colored Izod shirts, pop collars and stuff like that. And I just was like, it looks crowded and it looks boring. The course just goes back and forth. And there was, I'm on Route 1 and the traffic is passing by at 65, 70, 80 miles an hour, passing by the course. And I was like, well, I don't really want to play on that course with a hole that runs alongside of a road, that's just generating a massive amount of road noise, even though it was only 2 lanes. So I was crowded. And I said, well, I don't know if the other courses, either Black Lake or Monarch Dunes, are any better than this, but at least I can go check them out and come back. I figured it would probably be about the most an hour for me to go up to the other courses and come back. So I had a recommendation to play Monarch Dunes in a sense that it was the best value in the area, which gave me a little bit of hesitation because best value does not necessarily mean best golf. And what I was looking for was the best golf. I don't need to worry about value when it comes to playing golf. I want a good experience. But the guy who recommended the course to me did not let me down. Monarch Dunes, while it definitely was in the middle of a neighborhood, and you can see that looking on Golf Now, and I suggest always that before you go play a course that you've never played before, go look on Google Maps and see what is the surrounding environment. And you can see very easily, if you look at the surrounding environment for Monarch Dunes, that it is a neighborhood course, and it is well surrounded by houses. There's plenty of houses all around it, and near the fairways in some parts and the greens in other parts. And it's very much like the course I played in Arizona on the way out west. In fact, I saw many of the same types of houses on the course, but it wasn't quite as dense in terms of the housing, and the course was much more vertical, had much less of a housing fouling in this general sense, and it really was a nice course. It was a wonderful day to play, and completely enjoyed the round. The only thing I could say that was a problem was it was a little bit overbooked, especially at twilight, and the twilight was $35 with a cart, and I went out and at about 2:30, and they were like, well, I have the cart back by 5, so I was like, all right, fine. So I went out, and the first hole was okay. There was nobody on it. The second hole, it was kind of okay. There was people getting off the greens, the par 3. And then from the 3rd to the 13th hole, it was solidly packed with foursomes. Some places, guys clearly out of their league playing the course. And I basically found a threesome that were practicing on the course on a Friday afternoon while it was packed, and passed them, and the group ahead of them, which had passed them also, was a foursome, and they were struggling on a par 5, and then I found that there was nobody out there in front of them. The fairway was wide open, the greens was wide open, and I went to the next hole, which was a par three, and there, lo and behold, were three guys on the par three who were at least a half a hole, easily a half a hole ahead of the group behind them. They were not happy to see me come up behind them and drop in, because that meant all of a sudden they could not sit there and practice their putting at their leisure on the greens. And this became a ongoing thing, is that they would just take forever to play. Even these guys were taking forever to play, although they had at least a half a hole ahead of the group behind them, which was just not very good. So they were not very good. So they were comfortably ahead of them and could take their time, and I changed that dynamic when I played. So it wasn't so bad. They picked it up a little bit, and we kind of settled in, but it should never have gotten that backed up or that busy beforehand, and that was disappointing. It was just too many people trying to play the holes. They were too difficult, taking too much time, way too much standing around looking at other people play, and I'm glad that I skipped up to the 13th hole. I was able to play 13 through 18 and then go back and play the front side again for the beginning and finish the front side before dark. So I got most of the holes in. I didn't get all of them in, but I got most of them in. I think I only missed 10, 11, and 12 on the backside, and I'm not even really sure I missed that much. I think I got 10 and 11 in. No, I didn't get 10 in. I never did get to play 10. 10 is a hole that's right behind the clubhouse, and it's that nice shot you see from the clubhouse balcony around the lake, and I did not get that one. I did not get 11, which is another short par 4 diagonal, and I did not get 12, which was the par 3 where I ran into the guys who were practicing, or 13, which was the par 5. So I missed some pretty good holes, and I can only tell you that even having only played 14 of the 18 holes, it still was a pretty fun course. The course had a very good verticality. It had nice, tight approaches, uphill approaches, downhill approaches, nice, way elevated tee shots on some of the holes, like 16 and 18. It was just a lot of fun to play. The first hole was exceptionally challenging, with a lot of swales and bumps and stuff and so forth, and same for 4 and 5 also. A really good course. It did have a fair amount of housing fouling, and it did have some road noise on 2, 3, and 4, 5, and so forth. But overall, it was a very nice course. It was a lot of fun to play, and I certainly have to give this course a good recommendation. It wasn't in the world's best condition, but it wasn't bad. The greens were in good condition. Nothing was really burned out or matted down to the point where it was unplayable. There wasn't too much of any distraction, and the houses weren't even all that much of a huge factor in terms of play. I mean, they could have been if you were a little bit wild. There's no question. I heard a couple of balls bounce off some houses, and I think I got one off a house myself on the 9th, definitely. Put one off a house to the left. Just slightly pulling my house and crushing it, and just having with my shot, crushing it and hitting it off a house, and I just couldn't see it, but I heard it way down there. So definitely the houses were in play, and I didn't see any netting anywhere too, which is another thing. That's just how it is. If you have a house near a golf course, near the fairway, reachable off the tee, at some point someone's going to put a ball in your house, and that's what happened. So a good round. Definitely have to give this course at least a B. It was a busy course in the sense that the layout and the general layout of the holes and so forth is not at all easy. Good elevated greens, good challenging approach shots, definitely some challenging shots around trees where you got to play some draws and fades around trees, uphill, over lakes, over water. It was a really fun course. I certainly cannot fault this course for being entertaining and a good round to play. I do fault it for letting it get backed up to the point and not having any kind of uh, course managers or anything like that out there to speed play up. And it was just sad, really, why it was backed up, because just the same old crap, people dragging their butt, slowing up the entire side. But basically, a lot of fun. And they have a nice clubhouse, nice restaurant, a wonderful deck area sitting out there with little pit fires and everything out there on the balcony. And it's just a nice place. Now, I didn't get to check out the other courses, which I guess are, worth checking out if you're in the area. So I would say the 3 courses within a 20-mile drive of Monarch Dunes and Black Lake, right across, basically a 10-minute drive across the main street that goes up to Monarch Dunes, and Rancho Maria, maybe a 20-mile drive back down Route 1. Certainly a fun excursion. I'm sure there's other courses in the area, and there's nice rides through the mountains in the area. Lots of fun to drive. Just a throwback environment in the sense that Guadalupe was a nice place to visit and drive through. You had that kind of small town America feel, just a really good outing and excursion, and I completely enjoyed it. And while I don't think the course is quite good enough for a minus, I don't think that it should be hammered from a B plus, except for the housing. It just was really, the course was so good that I overlooked the housing, but you really couldn't overlook the housing. There's just so much of it. You just can't. But the course is worth playing despite the housing. It's just a lot of fun to play it. A good challenge for an intermediate golfer. And I would definitely say a B plus star, let's put it that way, for this course. That's Monarch Dunes in, I will say, Santa Maria, although it is definitely a little bit northwest of Santa Maria, California.